Hi there, welcome to Gingerbread DIY. I'm Sarah. Thanks so much for joining me today. Today I am bringing you 3 vintage inspired Halloween DIYs for the 4th Friday challenge that I host every month. Stay tuned for more information on that, but let's get started on our DIYs. For our first DIY, we're going to start off with these candy corn wood cutouts that I purchased from 24 Hour Crafts. I painted them in the classic candy corn colors, and now I'm going to add on some little faces. I was super inspired by Joanna Parker, who creates vintage inspired decor, and I think her stuff is just so cute, and it does just scream vintage vibes to me. So I decided that even though she isn't a vintage creator, she does create vintage inspired decor. So I thought I would create these little candy corns in the likeness of one of her projects. So I just started off with a pencil so that I could erase and get those lines perfect, or as perfect as I could. And then I'm going to go in with my black Posca Paint marker. I really love these Posca Paint markers. They work really well for me, and you guys, if you've been with me a while, know that I rave and rave about the Posca Paint pens. So now I'm just going to fill in some of those areas, the orange for the cheeks, the yellow for the nose, and then I'm going to go in above the black on the eye and do some white there. And I, of course, will create the bigger candy corn in the exact same way. Boom, there you go. All cute and painted in. I had this little box that I had picked up from my local Goodwill. I decided that I was going to use some of this little ghost paper from a package that I picked up at Michael's a couple of years ago. So any Halloween style paper that you want to use would be perfect for this. Some stripes would be adorable, anything. And then I'm going to put my bigger candy corn in the back, placing down with some hot glue. And then I thought it would be cute if the smaller one was on the edge. So I'm just going to use a little hot glue and place this one down on the edge. And that's all there is to this little candy corn vintage inspired piece. I just adore how this one turned out. For this DIY, we're going to make a shelf sitter. I had created one of these in a gingerbread theme last Christmas time, and I thought this would be really cute for a Halloween themed one. I had seen Joanna Parker again make something similar, so I was inspired by that. So to start off, I have a 1.5-inch wood doll head that I painted orange, and then I used a pencil to create the face. Now, if I was going to redo this again, I would probably pull those eyes out a little bit further apart. It seemed like a lot of the vintage decor that I've seen, the eyes tend to be a little further apart. So I might pull them out a little bit further apart, and I might even make them round instead of teardropped. But I still think that this little guy turned out pretty cute. Now for the body, I am using one of the Dollar Tree wood dice that came out, I think, in the springtime. Last time I checked, you could still purchase them online at the store, but you could pretty much use any kind of a cube here. Just make sure that it's not too much bigger than your head. And then I just used a pencil again to create my face. I just looked online, found some faces that I liked, and then just recreated them using a pencil. Now you can always transfer a face on using some transfer paper or like carbon paper. Then I'll go in, paint my face using yellow and the white Posca Paint pen. Now we're going to create the legs for our shelf sitter. I'm going to pull a bead onto some baker's twine. Then I'm going to pull that baker's twine up in half, and I'll string both of those tails onto my needle. Now we're going to add a couple more beads in a pattern here, and I will leave the sizes of the beads in my description box down below. But for the legs, we're going to go big, medium, small, medium, small. And then once those are on, you're just going to tie off the top and secure the beads onto the baker's twine. And you're going to do this twice for the legs in this exact pattern. For our arms, we're going to start off the same way. Thread a bead onto some baker's twine, pull both tails up onto your needle, and then we're going to thread a small bead, medium bead, and small bead on for this one. Now just make sure that your bigger bead is centered, and then just tie it off again like you did before. And you'll do this one twice as well. So now we're going to assemble the neck piece for our shelf sitter. This is a 3-inch piece of fabric that I cut out, and I am using a needle and thread to gather a stitch around the very outside edge of this circle. I'm going in probably 1/8 of an inch. It doesn't matter too much. You don't want to go in too far, but you don't want it to be right on the edge either. So just go in a teeny tiny ways. But it doesn't have to be exactly like 1/8 of an inch or anything. And you're just going to keep gathering that up until you have come all the way around your circle. Then you're going to pull your thread into the center there, and we have just created a fabric yo-yo. So they make yo-yo makers that you can buy on the market, but this is a very easy way to create that same thing and a lot cheaper than buying a yo-yo maker. So these are just little fabric yo-yos. And then to finish it off, you're just going to pull your needle and thread across your yo-yo a few different times in different directions, and then just tie it off and secure the ends. I was having a little bit of difficulty here. I get all tangled up, so make sure your tails on your thread aren't too long because it will get tangled up. But once you get the tails trimmed and everything, you've got a cute little yo-yo there. So I needed to create a hat for my little shelf sitter. I am using one of these Dollar Tree witch hats. They came on a pick, and there were 3 of them in the package. So I just took the pick off, and now I am going to add some fabric to my hat. And I decided to just go right over the top of the pipe cleaners that were there because I liked the way that it kind of gave it a little bit of a softness and some padding. So I'm just going to trim my fabric to fit onto my hat and secure with hot glue. Trim the bottom off a little bit and then make some clip marks all the way around, and that will make it easier to fold in your ends as you glue them down inside the hat, and it just finishes off your hat really nicely. And then I'm going to kind of trim up and glue the top. I wasn't too concerned about this because I am going to add a little pom-pom onto the top. So I didn't care if it was like not perfect up there because it was going to be hidden. So I have these little pom-poms in my stash. This one is just a yellow one. They came from Michael's. They were on clearance, but you should be able to buy pom-poms pretty much anywhere. And then I have these little mini tiny baby black ones and I'm going to do those around the bottom of our hat. Now you can get creative here and use something like rickrack or I don't know what else you could put there. There's all kinds of buttons or whatever you want to trim your hat up with. So just get creative and have fun with it. Now that our elements are all assembled, let's talk real quickly about today's video. Today is the 4th Friday Open Challenge that I host with my good friend Lisa from Our Gray House. Today's guest host is Annie from Indiana Jones, the queen of Halloween. We love her. We're so glad to have her here today. Today is an open playlist, which means that we have so many fabulous creators joining us to share their Halloween or fall videos. So please check my description box down below for Annie's channel, Lisa's channel, and the playlist. I know everybody would love it if you got around to seeing their videos. Everybody works so hard to create awesome videos, and we're so happy to have them here. Now let's get back to our project. Now it's assembly time. So we are going to start off with one of these 1.5-inch wood round pieces. I pick these up from Michael's, and I am going to add some hot glue to one side, and then I am going to put my yo-yo on there. And in case you hadn't noticed, my yo-yo is about 1.5 inches wide, and I cut the fabric originally at 3 inches. So when you do a yo-yo, cut your fabric circle twice the size you need the finished circle to be. Then I'm going to hot glue my head right on top of the yo-yo. Now you'll see here in just a second, I kind of pull that up. The yo-yo in between is not secure. So if you want your yo-yo or your head to be secured down, you're going to need to add some stitches or some glue in between the fabric of your yo-yo, and then that'll keep it from being kind of squishy there. But I kind of liked that look, so I kept mine, and you'll see me play with it here in just a few minutes. So let's add our arms. I am going to place my arms on first, let them kind of dangle off of the side. I don't want that bead to be too close to the edge. I want it to be able to dangle and move, and then I'm going to hot glue them down where I want them. So just play with it, figure out your placement, what you like. Mine are kind of towards the front of the side of the block. And then I'm going to add my wood round, my yo-yo head on top of that. And now we have the upper part of our little shelf setter all assembled. And then we're going to add the legs on next. So I am using that second 1.5-inch wood round. I am putting my legs on and making sure that they can dangle freely. I don't want them to be stuck so that they are straight out. I want them to be able to sit over an edge. So make sure that you're checking that. And then for my legs, I place them towards kind of the front, if you will, and closer together. So I want my legs to be a little bit closer together. I'm not sure how far apart that is, maybe 1/2 inch or so, 3/4 of an inch, something like that. You just want your legs to, kind of fall in the front together a little bit. So then once they're glued on, trim your tails, and then you're going to be ready to add that piece onto your body, just like so. So adding a little bit of hot glue, you're just going to attach your bottom to your body. Now for the final touch, the little hat. I'm just adding some hot glue to the kind of inner part of our hat. And this hat fits very perfectly onto our 1.5-inch wood doll head. And look how cute he turned out. And he's got his little friend there with him. And here you can see kind of me playing around with the head. I kind of like that it is movable, a little bit wobbly. And I think this guy is so adorable and ready for my shelf. If you've not been over to my Facebook group that I host with Lisa from Our Gray House, I would love for you to drop by. I will leave the link down below. It's open to anyone who wants to join. Okay, for our final DIY of the day, I am going to use one of these little witches from 24 Hour Crafts. The cat comes from 24 Hour Crafts, and the wood round was from the Dollar Tree. So to start off with my little witch, I had marked her in with some pencil marks, and I did pause it there a little bit so you could take a screenshot in case you need to copy my design there. You're more than welcome to. And now I'm just going to go in and paint all of the areas of her little dress and hat and stuff here. So I kind of did like a split skirt in the front, and I'm using this beautiful purple color from Folk Art. I will leave all the colors in my description box down below in case you're curious and want to use the same colors. Now this darker color is a mixture of that purple that I used and some black. I just wanted a little bit darker, well, quite a bit darker shade of that purple. So I just added a little bit of black in with it. And then I'm going to fill in some of those areas like underneath the hat band and then the under part of the split skirt there. And then her little top part of her dress will also be that same color. And I'm just using a fine detail brush. I always link a set of brushes that I use often that I've purchased from Walmart in my description box as well. So just continuing to paint her in, I'm giving her some little striped socks or tights. And I love this little look for witches. I think it's just an adorable little look. And then I thought, you know, a vintage witch needs orange or red hair. So I went in with the Deco Art Canyon Orange, I think is what it's called. I really love this orange. It's not too bright, even though it kind of looks a little bright on camera. It's got this more toned down orange look that I used to pick up. Apple Barrel had a color called Spiced Carrots that I absolutely loved for fall, pumpkins, any of that kind of stuff, and carrots. It was like the perfect orange color. And they stopped making it. So this Canyon Orange is about the closest that I can get to that spiced carrot color, and I really love it. So I added a little bit of brown in with my orange to create some shadowing so that I can do a little differentiating in her hair there. And then I painted her shoes black. And then I went in with a peach color for her face and hands, but you could definitely do any color you wanted on your witch. She would be adorable with a little green face or a little brown face, whatever color you want. You are more than welcome to customize your witch how you like. I went in with some brown for the broom. And I just used one color here, and then I went in with a little bit darker brown and the same color that I'd used before and made a darker color to add some definition in the broom itself. And then used that darker color to do the handle and the band of the broom. Now I had painted on a little face, and after looking at it, I really did not like it. I thought it was okay, but it really wasn't what I was looking for. I didn't feel like it looked very vintage. So, you know what? I always tell you guys, you can sand it off and repaint it. So that is what you're going to see me do here in just a few minutes. But first, I added a little bit of that folk art purple glitter just to add a little bit of pizzazz to our project. And there you can see I had sanded off her face, and now I'm just going to repaint in the peach color. And I tell you guys this all the time. If you mess up while you're painting, you can redo it. You can always take paint off and you can redo it. So after kind of looking at some vintage inspired or vintage witches and stuff, I decided to go for this kind of face that I'm creating here. It's just kind of a combination of different looks that I saw on Pinterest. And I kind of think that I hit the mark a little bit better with this vintage look. I gave her a really full lip, and instead of creating a nose, so to speak, I just created a couple little nostrils there, and then I'll go in with a little bit of a darker peach color to do a little more definition, and then some pink cheeks. And here is our cat. I'm not going to go into full detail on painting it. I think it's pretty simple and self-explanatory there, but how cute did that turn out? For our moon, I gave this a coat of the Waverly chalk paint in the color maize, and then I took my inspiration piece from Pinterest, and I just basically used a pencil and looked at the picture and then created it onto my project. So if you're not comfortable doing that, though, you could always print off the picture from Pinterest or wherever. I think if you Google searched this kind of descriptive man with the, or moon with the witch flying by, you probably find it on Google as well. You could print that off and then copy the face, copy the face using carbon paper. My brain is going faster than my words today. So, yeah, however you want to create your face, you can do that. And I'm just using that Posca pen to outline everything. And then for the bigger parts, because I don't want to waste my Posca pen, I am going to go ahead and paint in the inside of the mouth and the pupils. But you could use your paint marker if you want to. I was just being a little on the cheaper side and saving my Posca paint pen. I also think that it's almost out, so I'm gonna have to go buy a new one. And I know you guys wonder where I get those. I either pick them up off of Amazon or my Michaels carries them open stock, which is really nice. And I can pick up, the colors and the size nibs that I need. But I'll link that exact paint pen in my description box below. So I'm going to go in with a little bit of antique white from Apple Barrel in the eyes and the lips. And I just love this little face. I think that this is such an expressive and darling face. So today's video is sponsored by HTVRONT. They sent me this beautiful package of permanent adhesive vinyl to test out and review for you guys. Look at all these colors. There's 18 in all. They're 12 inches by 3 feet, which is such a great deal. And I love that there's a little bit of package saving by not having those center tubes. However, I think that the packaging for the outside of the vinyl could be better. They were put individually in plastic and then had these, it's taped up with masking tape. Not a huge fan of that. I think that some little plastic sleeves to go around would be a much better option. Just because the tape did leave a little bit of residue. So I cut my vinyl out. I am making this little fence. I used the black color. It weeded so nice. Like it was perfect. It cut beautifully. I was really impressed with that part of it. I really think that the weeding was just really, really great. I'm going to add my transfer tape on the top here, and then I will start to apply it to my project. Now, I had a little bit of trouble getting it to stick to my project, but I think that it really was not the vinyl itself, but the transfer tape that I used. This is new to me, transfer tape. I had not used it before. This is not the HTVRONT's transfer tape. It was one that I'd purchased a while back and just haven't used yet. So in the future, I will just need to destickify my transfer tape before putting my project down. But once I got it going, it transferred really nicely. It stuck down, and so far I am super happy with this vinyl. I love all the colors that it comes in, and I really appreciate the less packaging, and also they don't have a paper packing or paper backing like a lot of vinyl does. It is a plastic coating. And I loved that because every single time I put transfer tape down onto my sticky mat to cut, it leaves behind a residue. And this, because it was plastic and there was no paper, left zero residue on my mat, which means my mat is going to last longer. And I am thrilled about that. So once I got my vinyl on, I decided that it needed a base, like a grounding. So I decided to go in with some black paint and just paint a little bit of ground there in the front. I just didn't want my cat sitting, in the middle of the air with the moon shining behind him. It just looked a little funny. So we're just going to create a little base there. And remember, if you use 24-hour craft, wood pieces, you have to remove that backing. But once everything was back off the backs there, I just glued them down, and this is our project. So cute and so vintage. Well, guys, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, leave me a comment down below and let me know which project was your favorite. Please make sure you check out the playlist and Annie's channel links down below in my description box. And I hope that you have a happy, healthy, and blessed day. And until next time, bye-bye.